We love getting your calls, voicemails, email, video clips, and letters. Pop by our website and answer this week's question. What do you think about the Atheist ads? Write to us at listenuptv.com. Well, welcome back to Listen Up, and we've been looking at the new Atheist advertising campaign. And as an atheist, our next guest, Dave Smeltzer, never thought of himself as the religious type, and he still doesn't, even though today he believes in God and leads a large Boston church. Dave Smeltzer tells his fascinating story in the book, Not the Religious Type, and he joins us now from Boston. Dave, thank you for being with us.
You're totally welcome. Good to be here.
All right. Tell me how you reached your position of being an atheist. How did you decide that was the belief system you were going to go with?
You know, I'm sort of ashamed to say it was probably more of a vibe than anything else, though I had all sorts of intellectual arguments once I got to that position and did debate churchgoers all the time. I think I actually only got there because it felt right to me.
All right. What did you believe God to be or God to represent during that time?
You know, I don't know that I know what I believed that God was. I think what I believed is that you couldn't know that he was there, that he would have been up there somewhere in the far reaches of the sky, and there was no communication between him and us. So I think it was more that it was just hard for me to feel like I could respect people of faith. They didn't seem like thoughtful, rigorous people, and that's what I wanted to be.
Okay, but something started to change your mind. What happened?
You know, I got to university, and when I was there, I began realizing my whole life had been targeted towards getting there as if that was supposed to set me up for life. I would now get good grades and get a good job and marry someone great and make a lot of money and then die and leave all that money to my kids, and that was my life. And suddenly that just all seemed crazy to me. I didn't know why I was there. I didn't know why that was supposed to make me happy. I didn't know why that job was supposed to be such a valuable thing that I'd spent my whole life trying to get there. And so for the first time since I was a really little kid, I prayed something like, God, I don't believe you're there, but all these people I've been arguing with do, and if I'm wrong, today would be a great day to show me. And then I just had some kind of funky things happen.
Okay. So it starts out of existential crisis for you, really, the purpose of life, the meaning of your life.
Yeah, I really did. I think that's right.
And what did God do when you prayed, show me if you're real, God?
Well, I took a drive. I mean, there was really nothing much that happened in that moment, but I decided I wanted to get off my depressing campus, and so I thought I'll take a drive, I'll see a movie. My sister, who was a Taoist, had sent me some tapes from a conference about Jesus that she'd been to and had liked, and so I thought I'll listen to them. And so I was listening to this guy talk about Jesus quite thoughtfully, and saw my movie, and then sort of got lost on the way home, which was unusual for me. I took a right, thinking maybe this is right. It obviously wasn't, so I was going down a fairly deserted street. And as I was trying to check a map, as my dome light was on, I was looking down at the map just at the point when the road forked, and I sort of slowly lumbered up this little hill that was on this fork in the road, came to rest against a post, which sort of took a jolt out of me. But as I kind of pulled back to see what had happened, I realized the thing I'd hit was actually a giant floodlit cross, which took me aback, given that I just prayed that day that if there was a God, God would show himself to me. And that kind of started a process, just that sort of funky encounter where before the night was over, I began wondering if I was even getting impressions of God answering my prayer.
So you start to have experiences which I would describe as quite spiritual. This isn't very logical and rational right at these times.
Oh, totally. You know, it was all very experiential at that point, and I began trying to pray a little bit more since that had seemed to be what got me into this fix. And before long, I was talking to some people about it. I took classes to figure out what I believed. I took classes on Sufi Islam and modern-day Judaism, and I read up on the other main religions of the earth, and that was kind of the journey that ultimately led me to follow Jesus.
Okay, and in your intellectual search then, you came across the claims of Jesus Christ. What did that mean for you?
I had a really fortunate thing happen to me, or maybe providential thing happen to me. I'd started trying to go to churches, which at that time still weren't quite working for me. I somehow wasn't connecting with them, but I was friends with someone on my campus who went to sort of this Bible study group that he led, and he invited me to join in. And I suddenly found myself in the middle of a circle of a couple hundred fellow students who were really seriously into studying the Bible. That's what they did. And they were just really thoughtful people, and they kind of walked me through a lot of the New Testament. And I was just really taken with it. I think it really helped explain some of what had happened to me. It struck me as rich and deep insight.
Okay, because really, when we, as we've looked earlier in the show at the Free Thought Association, and the core of the atheist belief is that it should be reason, not experience, that outweighs a person's decision on God. But you're saying you did a journey on both streams. Then you took reason, but it was ultimately your experience with God.
Yeah, absolutely. But my pitch would be, I think all any of us do is try to figure out an experience of living that works and makes sense and seems coherent. And then somehow reasoning seems for most of us to come after a life that actually we like to live. And that was certainly true for me. You
write about a relationship with Jesus is at the core of all of this. Why is the relationship with Jesus the answer?
I have found, I don't know if you found this true, but I have found that the world's a lot more relational than I thought. I think in my atheist arguing days, I saw the world as abstract, that I was trying to prove theorems and propositions and sort of abstractions. And suddenly, what seemed far more true to me, and even some of my physicist friends say might even be true in quantum physics, is that the world seems really relational. And it seems to me, the more I pursue truth as a relational thing more than an abstract thing, that Jesus keeps coming up. He says he's the, there's even a cliche, I suppose, that people who follow Jesus say, you should have a relationship with God or a relationship with Jesus. I think I've just found that to be really true and really needed, and sort of what answers our hearts' needs better than anything else.
Well, David Smeltzer, from atheist to Christian pastor, thank you very much for your interesting story.
You're very welcome. It's great to be with you.
When we return, 3 reasons to believe in God. That's coming up next in The Wrap.